Hello everyone and welcome back to the GCSE Maths Series. Today we're going to be taking a look at exact trig values, so let's get started. So, what angles do you need to know for your GCSE course? We need to know the sine, cos and tan of 0 to 90 degrees off by heart. So, I'm going to teach you a way that I use throughout my GCSEs, which made it super easy to remember. So, as you can see, we have our table here, and let's start by filling in our sine. So the way I started with sine was to first label from 0. Actually, let me do it in black. 0 all the way up to 4. I would then square root each one of these. Square root each one of these and divide them by 2. Okay, now simplifying this, square root of 0 is 0. So when we divide by 2, 0 by 2, what do we obtain? We obtain 0. Square root of 1 is 1, so square root 1 over 2 is just equal to a half. Square root of 2 over 2 is going to be the same. You can't simplify that anymore. Root 3 over 2, you can't simplify that anymore. Then this is going to be equal to root 4 is going to be 2, so 2 over 2 is going to be 1. So if I was to write them out like so, it would be 0, 1 half, root 2 over 2, root 3 over 2, and 1. Now, moving on to cos. What we've worked out for our sine, we write them in the opposite order. So you can see 0 is our first one on the left. We're going to start by writing 0 on the right hand side. Then we look at half is next in line, so you write it there. Then root 2 over 2 is obviously going to be in the same place. Root 3 over 2 is going to be there, closest to the left. And then 1 is going to be our last value here. Okay, now looking at our tan. We start by writing our square root 0, square root 1, square root 2, square root 3, and square root 4. We then go divide in opposite order to what we've just done. So what I mean by this is the first value, we're going to look at the last value, which is root 4, and divide by our root 4. The second to last value is root 3, so the second value we're going to divide by root 3. Then root 2 is going to be divided by the same thing. Then we look at our second from the left, which is going to be root 1. So we're going to divide by root 1. And then this is going to be divided by root 0. Now, if we're to simplify this, looking at the first one, tan of 0 degrees, we have root 0, which is going to be 0 over 2. So 0 over 2 is going to be equal to 0. So let me just rub this out and put in 0. Root 1 over root 3 is going to be equal to square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 3 you can't simplify anymore, so that's going to be 1 over root 3. Looking at the next one, we have root 2 over root 2. And obviously, when you have the same number over the same number, it's going to equal to 1. So root 2 over root 2 is going to simplify to 1. Root 3 over root 1 is simplifying to root 3 over 1, which is anything divided by 1 will give us our numerator. So root 3 is our tan 60. Similarly here, we have root 2, not root 2, we have 2 over 0, which is going to be equal to 0. So tan 90 is going to be equal to 0. Okay, moving on to some questions. We can say, write down the exact value of sine 30. And this is literally going to be just a memorization thing. So sine 30 is half from our table, as you can see here and here. cos 60 is going to be equal to a half also. If you remember from here, our table, then tan 45 is going to be equal to 1, if you remember from our table, because that's our root 2 over root 2. Okay, now is a bit of a different type of a question. So a right angle triangle has an angle. So a right angle triangle, with our right angle being here, let's call this the angle in question, 60 degrees. And the side adjacent to that angle is 6 centimeters. So this is going to be our hypotenuse. This is going to be our opposite, making this side the adjacent. So for to redraw this, we have 60 degrees here. We have our hypotenuse to be, well, we have our adjacent, sorry, to be 6 centimeters. And we're told to work out the length of the hypotenuse. So we need our SOHCAHTOA. Now looking at this, we need our adjacent because that's what we have. And that's what we need to work out our additional side. We also need to work out our hypotenuse. So we need a formula including A and H. So we have Ka. So cos of theta is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And in this case, filling in the data that we know that cos theta is equal to 60, is equal to the adjacent, which is 6, over our hypotenuse, which is our x. Okay, now solving through, we can times through on both sides by x to get x cos 60 is equal to 6. Then dividing through, we get x is equal to 6 over cos 60. That is to make x a subject to solve for. And this is going to simplify to 6 divided by 1/2. And this is going to be equal to 12. Because if you're confused why 6 divided by 1/2 is going to be equal to 12, remember we first have to make this 6 out of 1. Then we use our NCF method. So the C stands for change the sign and flip the fraction and don't touch the 6. So this is going to change the 6 over 1 times by our flip that fraction. We get 2 over 1 and we changed our sign. This could be equal to 12 over 1. As I mentioned before, anything over 1 is going to just be a numerator. Okay, that's going to conclude today's episode on exact trig values. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.